Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Without wasting any time, let's actually hear introduction in a minute or so.
Okay, sir. So my name is Dhruv Rao and I hail from a city which is also known as the heart of India, that is Delhi. Up until my class 8th, I was inclined more towards academics, but from class 9th onwards, I started participating in extracurricular activities as well, as I found that these activities play a major role in the development of our personality. In my class 9th itself, I got an opportunity to work in adult tinkering laboratories, which were being stabilized under the leadership of Niti Aayog and central government. I worked there with other academically inclined students of my school. There I learned about STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. I worked on various projects with Arduinos, microcontrollers, 3D printers, breadboards, hydraulics, and quadcopters. My major role as a student of Atal Lab was to ensure that I use my learnings and resources of Atal Lab to innovate something with my team members that can solve real world problems, like problems faced by people with disabilities due to lack of cheap and effective prosthetic limbs. And after some time, I willingly volunteered for NCC in my school, which stands for National Cadet Corps. And I was selected as an Army cadet of 4th Delhi Battalion. And I successfully went through 2 years of both mentally and physically challenging basic military training. Then in class 12th, I became a senior cadet and I learned more about military tactics and skills like map reading and first aid. Some of my responsibilities as a senior cadet were to report to my sergeant on weekly basis and to meet with officers from my battalion who used to visit our school to check if the training was going on properly as per the norms. I got to know about IPM program of IIM Rohtak at the end of my class 11, and I felt really attracted towards a diversified curriculum that ensures the holistic development of an individual, which is a really essential quality that should be there in a manager. And since then, I started preparing for IPM aptitude test.
All right, all right. So, what is the art of reading maps actually called?
So it is known as cartography,
All
to the
right.
best of my knowledge.
Recently, there was a startup which tried to, let's say, change the dimensions of navigation and mapping. Do you know the startup, or do you know what method have they used?
So sorry, sir, I am not aware of it.
So, are you aware of the startup? I'm going to tell you the answer. It's what three words? Have you heard of this startup?
No, sir,
What
I
three
am not aware
words?
of it.
No problem, no problem. So you mentioned Niti, you were affiliated with Niti Aayog, right? A lab that was affiliated with Niti Aayog. So recently,
Yes.
yeah, Niti Aayog also collaborated with a digital payments company and has released a report on digitally including Bharat. So do you know which company it was?
No, sir,
No problem.
I don't.
Can you talk about the vision and the mission of Niti Aayog?
The vision of Niti Aayog is to frame long-term policies for the development of India and to monitor those policies and the implication of those policies on the targeted groups. Like if I talk about Atal Tinkering Lab, so it was they were being stabilized under Atal Innovation Mission. So after every time period, they were checking whether the program was going on as per the requirement. As the objective of the Atal Tinkering Labs were to foster curiosity, imagination, and problem-solving skills among the youth. So this is the work of the Niti Aayog. They form long-term policies and they also monitor their progress.
All right.
It
So
Niti Aayog was earlier known as Planning Commission,
yes.
and after a bill was passed, it was changed to Niti Aayog.
All right. So you mentioned Atal Innovation Mission to be a part of. Let's say one of the policies I would say that Niti Aayog is working on. So what kind of support does Atal Innovation Mission provides to entrepreneurs and let's say thinkers of our country?
So, first of all, the most important thing, apart from technical knowledge, it provides a individual a chance to work in a team. As we know that in schools, most of us are academically inclined. The focus is about academics. But in Atal Innovation Mission, as you step in the lab, uh, there is a very famous line by a philosopher that no man is an island, and that line properly we can properly apply that line in Atal Tinkering Labs as well. That there you are required to work in a team. It is not a criteria; it is necessary. It is mandatory so that you can give some productivity and output. Because alone you cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So this is one of the most important thing that they provide, and it should be there in an entrepreneur as well. And second thing is, I think the most important skill that they provide is problem solving skills. We all have problems. Like being an entrepreneur means like you need to become a problem solver. You will like world will throw problems at you like this, but for solving those problems, you need to think like a problem solver. And Atal Innovation provided that environment and that stimulus that is really essential to become a problem solver.
Who's the current CEO of Niti Aayog?
So I'm not aware of it.
No problem. So, could you tell me, you mentioned that one of the functions of Niti Aayog is to make development plans for India. So, what is the term of any one of these plans? Like, what's the defined term?
So,
Are
so
these 5 year
defined term,
plans?
yes, sir. I think they are 5 years.
So, till now, how many 5 year plans have been there for India?
Sir, I'm not aware.
Are you aware of any of the policies of the latest 5 year plan that was released by Niti Aayog?
No, sir, I'm not
No,
aware
no
of it.
problem, no problem. And does Niti Aayog have the final authority, or let's say approving authority for these 5 year plans, or is it someone else who gives the final approval?
Sir, I think to the best of my knowledge, Niti Aayog only proposes the plan, but the implementation of the policy it remains in the hands of the state authorities as well and central government as well.
All right, but before the implementation, the approval I'm talking about, like after proposing and before implementation, the middle, the approval, who does that?
Sir, I'm not
No problem. So, which designation in India is equivalent to the leader of the cabinet ministers?
aware. Leader of the cabinet ministers.
Yeah,
No, sir, I'm not aware.
no problem.
I need to read on it.
No problem at all. You also mentioned the STEM industry in your introduction. You were affiliated to that industry. So,
Yes, sir.
could you tell me the proportion, or rather the condition of employment of women in the STEM industry?
Sir, I don't know about the exact figures, but I'm sure that it is very much less than the men. Because in IITs as well, the major proportion of students are men. They are males, and females are comparatively lesser.
Could you identify some reasons behind that? Down to the very root, I mean, why
So,
even in IITs we have less females?
so first of all, the reason is in our nurturing. Indian society is structured in such a way that females are always taught that they need to become homemakers. They need to become good housewives. They don't need to become good scientists. When even if you see in a parent as well, so a father will bring two toys for his two kids. One is male and another one is female. So for male he will always bring a rocket, a train, or something like that. But for what do we bring for our females or daughters? They bring cooking set or kitchen set, dolls. So I think nurturing is one of the main reason. And apart from that, in schools as well, girls are always shy. Like it most of the time they are always shy in taking initiatives. But it is not always true for all the girls. So as I earlier mentioned, that it is about nurturing. So we need to provide them equal opportunities, and we need to give them a push. Like if I give you an example, so it is a kind of race, and when we start a race, so we need to make sure that all the participants they are standing on the same line. They are standing from the same point.
Correct.
But in case of STEM, in case of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, girls are very far behind the starting line. Okay, so we need to push them further on the starting line so that we can start the race.
Are you aware of any such women leaders in the STEM industry?
So in STEM industry, a woman leader, no, sir.
No problem, no
Uh,
problem. You mentioned 3D printers also in your introduction, if I'm not wrong, or did I hear it wrong?
no, sir. I mentioned 3D printers. We were using Fusion QT16, and it uses a technology in which it uses biodegradable plastic, and biodegradable plastic is polylactic acid.
Okay,
So
okay.
you and for designing the prototypes or any kind of design, 3D design, 3D model, we used to use Tinkercad, the software. In that software, you can design your prototype as well, and you can get the time as well, like in how much time the you will get the 3D model from the printer.
What's the most complex model that you have basically experienced 3D printing?
So one of the most complex model was of a heart, a human heart.
And
Yes.
what was the
So
purpose
like
behind doing that? I mean, was a prototype? Why was, I mean, a heart being 3D printed?
yes, sir. So I will tell you what happened. So once we were in our little lab and we were doing some Arduino stuffs, and our biology teacher he came and he said that can we print anything from it? So the mentor was MTech Robotics. So he said, yes, sir, we can print anything. Like, do you want anything? So he said, yes, I want a model of human heart. And like our mentor was also astonished. He was also shocked. Like, do you really think that it would not be time consuming? So yes, and I got to know like the next day that the it got completed in 5 hours. For 5 hours, the 3D printer was running. So it was such a complex model.
Correct, correct. So, why exactly do you want to choose IPM as a program in your career?
Sir, I want to choose IPM because whenever I think about my career, so I see myself as a in a leadership role, and manager is a leadership role, and it is not it is not child's play. You have a very big responsibility on your shoulders. Like you need to look after a complete team of employees, and it is not an easy task, but I think it is something that gives me joy and that will give me joy. And like to direct the energy of people. I like to show them the right direction in which they should work to get the maximum output or productivity. And the IPM program in itself is very diverse. Like if I talk about an IITian or an student who has graduated from IPM program with BBA and MBA, so an IITian, he would be aware of only the technicalities of the business. But a student of IPM, he would also know the programming as well as to the best of my knowledge, programming is also there in IPM program. So a student of IPM would also know some skills that are IT based and some skills that he needs to become an effective manager. But for a student of IIT, he needs to do a MBA from a different college so that he can learn those skills because in 4 years he learned only technical skills. So I think it would be quite relevant to choose IPM over any other course like engineering or medical because it is a very diverse course and it transforms your personality and it prepares you for futuristic competitiveness and corporate world.
Alright, could you give me two reasons why you should not be selected for this program?
Sir, I don't think there is any if there is any reason like that. But yes, if there is a candidate who is more worthy than me, who has more skills than me, if there is a candidate who you think that we can mold him better than Dhruv Rao, then I think that the chance should be given to him rather than me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for the interview.